My name is Rachel, and I am 39 years old. For most of my adult life, I believed something very simple: once you build a family, love naturally holds everything together. I thought love was like a strong glue, something that would automatically keep all the broken pieces from falling apart. But now I know better. Sometimes that glue dries, cracks, and breaks in places you can't even see, until one day the entire structure starts to crumble. When I married Paul, I didn't just become someone's wife. I stepped into the role of a stepmother, too. His son, Jake, was only 15 back then. He was polite, respectful, and quiet in a way that made it hard to tell what he was feeling. He wasn't rude or angry, just distant, as if he lived behind an invisible wall. No matter how hard I tried to reach him, I always felt like a visitor in my own home. I made every effort to be warm, patient, and open with him. I tried to listen when he spoke, to show up when he needed me, to prove that I wasn't there to replace anyone, just to care. But every smile I gave him felt like it hit a wall and bounced right back. That wall had been built long before I ever entered his life, back when he lost his mother. Paul, my husband, was a good man. He was steady, dependable, and responsible. He worked hard and never failed to provide. But emotionally, he was gone. After his first wife died, something inside him shut down. He still moved through life, still paid bills and made plans, but affection and emotional warmth became something automatic and empty. It was like he was following a routine instead of actually feeling. For a long time, I told myself that stability was enough. That not everyone gets passion. That I should be grateful for peace and security. But as the years passed, I began to feel a quiet ache growing inside me, a hunger for something real, something alive. By the time Jake turned 19, everything started to feel different. He had grown into a thoughtful, kind young man. He had his father's eyes, but not his emotional distance. Where Paul was closed off, Jake was aware. He noticed when I was tired. He asked how my day went. He listened when I spoke. And slowly, without meaning to, I started to look forward to those moments. At first, it wasn't anything inappropriate. It was just emotional. But emotional closeness can be just as powerful, sometimes even more dangerous. Paul was often away on business trips, leaving Jake and me alone in the house. One evening, we sat together eating leftovers at the kitchen table. The food was cold, the house quiet. I casually mentioned how exhausted I'd been feeling, how lonely things sometimes felt. Jake looked at me and softly said, "You don't deserve to feel alone all the time." Those words hit me like a wave. No one had spoken to me that way in years. No one had seen me like that. And suddenly, I felt something inside me crack open. After that, our conversations changed. We talked about life, about grief, about how people drift apart even when they don't want to. I kept telling myself it was harmless. That he was just a kind young man who cared. But deep down, I knew I was leaning into the warmth he gave me, because I wasn't getting it anywhere else. Then one night, everything came dangerously close to falling apart. I was in the living room, half asleep on the couch, wrapped in my robe. The TV was on, but I wasn't really watching. Jake came home late and stood quietly in the doorway. I could tell something was wrong. He sat down beside me, his face tense and conflicted. "Rachel," he whispered, "I can't take this anymore." I turned toward him, confused and startled. "What do you mean?" His voice shook as he spoke. "Watching you pretend everything is okay. Dad doesn't see you. But I do. I see how lonely you are." My heart started racing. I wanted to stop him, to put distance between us, but I couldn't deny that everything he said was true. Tears filled my eyes before I could stop them. He reached out and gently wiped a tear from my cheek. For a moment, the world went silent. That was the moment that terrified me the most, because I realized how close I was to crossing a line that could never be uncrossed. I stood up quickly. "Jake, please, don't." His face filled with guilt and regret. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to." I just hate seeing you hurt. I told him to go to his room. When his door closed, I collapsed into tears. Not just because of what almost happened, but because I realized how dangerously lonely I had become. The next morning, neither of us could look at each other. When Paul returned, everything seemed normal on the surface, but something had changed forever. Jake avoided me. Weeks later, he moved out. Years passed. One day, I ran into Jake at a cafe. He was older, calmer, and more at peace. We exchanged polite words. As he left, he turned and quietly said, "Thank you for stopping me that night." I nodded, tears in my eyes, because we both knew how close we came to destroying everything. Later, a letter arrived from him. He wrote that he didn't blame me. That loneliness had hurt both of us. That stopping him had saved us. Paul never found out. I'm still with him. We exist together. But I don't know if it's love anymore, or just history. One thing I do know is this. Loneliness can make good people do dangerous things. And love without connection slowly starves the heart.